Hello, my name is Sophia Christine, and recently started this channel. Obviously, this is my first upload. If you want to know what I was doing before this, I did not have a big channel. Microscopic. I think I got up to words of 36 subscribers. Oh, it was awesome. So much power. Anyway, felt like there was no real purpose or goal for that channel. So kind of decided to let it go. If you're interested in hearing me ramble and rant and not have very clear ideas of what exactly I'm talking about, you can go check out the channel. It's called Rivers, but no real point. So today I wanted to talk about something that's very, very serious to me, and it's very important to discuss because I don't think people realize how big of an issue this is. It's not talked about, it's not discussed, and at this point, I can say with 100% certainty that there is an American genocide going on right now. Consistently. Since, like, 1973. And if you understand what I'm talking about right now, before even me getting into the subject, then you know I'm talking about abortion. And it's been this really, really devious thing because it's silent. Because you're slaughtering innocents, and they don't have a chance to fight back. And so there's nobody who can fight for them except for people like me who decide to do it for them because they can't do it for themselves. They don't have a way to scream out. But there are victims of these crimes, and you can't pretend there's not. You can't. And you know, you hear the same sort of arguments over and over and over and over and over again from the radicals and the feminists and all these people who want you to kill your babies. And what they'll say is, we need to have abortion legal because of incest and rape. Okay, well, you know how many pregnancies actually result from incest? Not very many. Minuscule. The only statistics I could find for this in my short quest was there's a 0.001% rate of abortion in Florida that is caused by incest. 0.001%. And then they'll say, what if she was raped? Okay, great. So in Florida, about 0.085% of women who got abortions said it was because of rape. There was another national survey done, and the amount of women who said that they had decided to receive the abortion due to rape was less than 0.5%. So those two arguments right there, fucking bullshit. Any woman who says that to you, smack them in the face for me, please. Not literally, but figuratively. Because it's just so wrong. That's such a minuscule amount of what it's actually being used for. Other reasons why there might be a legitimate reason to get abortion would be something like fetal health problems. So I had a niece who is now passed, and I sometimes wonder if maybe her parents made the wrong decision keeping her, since she had absolutely no chance at living. Now, mind you, I come from a bit Christian background. I fully admire and respect their decision to keep that little girl, because you know what? Even though she died early, she still brought joy in their lives. There was a lot of sorrow associated with it as well, but I cannot fault them for trying. Because, you know what, maybe she could have lived. Maybe the doctors could have fixed her. Maybe. You know what, they decided to hold on to that hope and to be faithful to their beliefs and their feelings and their convictions in life, and they kept the baby. And I find that very, very admirable. However, considering that some fetuses are not viable at all, that might be an appropriate reason to actually get an abortion. Other reasons for getting an abortion could be physical health problems of the mother. Now, that actually falls into two categories. In the national survey, it was about 4% of women said that they got abortions because of physical health problems. Now, in Florida, though, when you see the statistics broke down a little bit more, 0.065% of women who got abortions, it was because of their life being in danger. So that's part one of the health problems. And then part two of the health problems was about 0.288%. So these types of abortions that women argue for and stuff, the radicals and stuff, to really try to get to your core of, oh, I feel so bad for these women. Oh, they're not, they're victims. They're victims. Look, incest, rape. The mother's gonna die. And it's like, no, that's not it. When I look at the reasons in Florida for women getting abortions, and I find out that 92% of those abortions were for no reason or elective. Holy shit. That is astounding to me. Now, I want to talk about numbers, because I don't think people understand the numbers, especially when you're talking about, incest being 0.001% of all abortions, and rape being 0.05% of all abortions, and the mother's life being in danger is 0.065% of all abortions. That's minuscule. And when you find out how big the numbers are, that's gonna fucking shock you. In 2016, there were 893,000 abortions, roughly, in the United States. In 2015, that number was 914,000. In 2014, that number was 926,240 abortions. Do you understand what a big problem this is yet? Okay, not yet. Let's keep going. In 2011, there was 1.06 million abortions on American soil. And in 1996, several years before that, there was 1.36 million abortions. And in the time between 1973 and 2011, there were 53 million people killed by abortion. Do you understand how big of a problem this is? There's only 300 million people in this country. And we've aborted 53 million people that could be alive right now, adding to our society, engaging or destroying or whatever. But that could have been their choice, and they were killed before they even had a chance to make it. Every child is this little ball of potential, and you can't get away from that. They have every power to destroy and every power to create, because that's the way humans were built, right? We are dangerous, but we have the capacity for so much good. And the thing is that when you abort and kill your children, you're taking away that choice from somebody else. That's inherently evil. It's just batshit crazy to me that these women will sit there and argue and argue and argue and scream about, it's my body, it's my body, it's my body, but it's not your body. You are a vessel for another body. There is a body inside of your body. And it's separate from you. You cannot deny the fact that that fetus is in fact separate from you. It has its own blood supply. It has its own DNA. It is not a dead, inanimate object in your womb. I know that's how a lot of women like to think of it when they have abortions, but that thing's fucking living from the moment it's conceived. There's nothing about that thing that has ever been dead, because it came directly from you and directly from the father. And guess what? When the egg and the sperm met, they were alive. Both the sperm and the egg had to be alive to make a baby. That's just the way that it is. And you cannot change that. You can't change that fact. And so when we talk about when does life start, it starts before conception, you idiot. Way before conception. Starts when the mother actually starts developing her ovaries in the womb of her mother. That's when life starts. Because that's when the eggs are created. And so you have those elements of life being there when the woman is microscopically tiny. She already has the components growing inside her to create more life. And none of this about her is dead. It's not inanimate. It's all alive. And so, yeah, it makes me really angry that not only we have so many children and, citizens of our country being murdered before they're even born. That should really piss you off. That 53 million, or, well, at this point, more like, probably more like 60 million, judging from the counts here and the information I don't have. It's probably closer to between 50 and 60 million people who've been killed by abortion at this point. I mean, you're gonna tell me that's okay? You're gonna scream that it's your body repeatedly as you have multiple abortions? This is another thing that I knew this was a thing, but I didn't realize how prevalent it was. So, one thing that really has disturbed me is the rates of women who have had abortions who then go on to have another abortion. Okay, so in 2014, the amount of women who had an abortion that they had never had an abortion before, this was their first one, was 55.1%. And so that number right there shocks me, because that tells me there's at least 45% of the population where it's not their first abortion, which means they've already killed one of their babies and they're going in to kill another. And so the amount of women who have had 1 or 2 prior abortions to having an abortion was about 36.3%. 36.3% have killed more than one baby. That is fucking shocking. And then this is actually shocking too. 8.6% of women who had abortions had more than 2 prior abortions. What are you doing? What are you fucking doing where you get a baby inside you, you go, I think I need to kill that thing, and then you go out and you get another one inside you and you think, well, I did it again, I better go kill it. Why would you not just get an D, you fucking dumb cunt. This makes me really angry, like incredibly angry, that there are women out here who think that it's okay to be so animalistic that you would kill your own children. No, that's not what we are. Like, my whole argument for being anti-abortion is being pro-human and anti-animal. And when I say anti-animal, I don't mean like, let's go hurt animals. I mean like, let's not be animals ourselves. We are not animals. We are so much more than animals. Our capacity is so much more. The things that we create, no animal on this planet could master even a simple woodworking project, let alone the internet. My God, we are massively creative and powerful creatures on this planet. And we're just murdering ourselves. We're murdering our future. And the worst part of this is that it's all voluntary. In 2014, 19% of all pregnancies ended in abortion. Yeah. That's 1/5. 1/5 of the population murdered before they were even born. Mind you, this is all silent genocide because the babies can't fight back. In 2013, only Bulgaria, Cuba, Estonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Romania, Russia, Sweden, and the Ukraine had a higher rate of abortion than the United States, but China is probably on that list as well. And so, what does that fucking tell you about how often we kill our own children? I mean, maybe other countries that are, more third world don't have as good a records on it, and maybe there is just mass genocide all over the planet. But my God, we're like in the top 10 of how much we kill our babies. Why the hell do we need to be in the top 10 for how much we kill our children? That is baffling to me. Oh my God, that shocks me so much. Some statistics I don't find particularly shocking myself. In the United States, the highest, and this is from 2014, but the District of British Columbia, so Washington, D.C., or no, District of Columbia, Jesus Christ, not quite awake yet, sorry, but District of Columbia, where the politicians and the swamp is at, 38% of pregnancies ended in abortion. In New York, the state of New York, that number was 33%. And in the state of New Jersey, that percentage was 30%. In the mini state of New York City, that number is a whopping 37%. Do you see, like, maybe a correlation here of locale and, maybe ideologies that rule those areas, such as being extremely liberal? The states that have the fewest abortions from 2014, Utah had 5% of pregnancies in an abortion. South Dakota had 4% of pregnancies in an abortion, and in Wyoming, a whopping of less than 2% of pregnancies in an abortion. Why? Oh, I have an idea as to why. And the reason is lack of morals and propaganda. Tricking women into killing their own children in cold blood. fucking disgusting. The only thing that I can say that is a positive move is at least there's a trend. There's a trend of the amount of abortion occurring going down every year. You know, so like in 1996, 1.36 million. 2011, 1.06 million. 2014, under a million. 2016, under 900,000. You know, so we're making progress at least. So I know there is at least hope. I know there's good people out there. I know there's people out there who think, what sort of environment are we creating where our children aren't even safe in the womb? What sort of environment is that? That's not the type of country I want to live in. That's not the kind of life I want for my children. You know, especially, you know, we have a society that is very anti-male, and because it's anti-male, it's anti-family. And because it's anti-family, it's actually very anti-woman. And so it's this vicious circle eating itself. And it's kind of scary, especially if you're a man, to think, I could get a woman pregnant, be willing to take care of the child, want the child, but she has every right to go out and abort and kill that thing if she wants to. Like it's garbage. It's disgusting. I don't think it would shock you to find out that 85.5% of women who got abortions in 2014 were in their 20s, and that they were unmarried women. That's the majority of women getting abortions. I don't think that's shocking, considering that between like the ages of 20 and 30 is about the peak time when you're gonna have your fullest fertility. So if you're a little whore fucking around with guys that you shouldn't be screwing with, and you get yourself knocked up, that's kind of your fault. You're 20 years old, you're 25 years old, you're 27 years old. Yeah, you were going to get pregnant if you weren't going to be smart about it. That's what happens. That's just what happens. And we shouldn't be allowing these women who go out and have one night stands and you know, we've got 4% of women saying that in the national survey, saying that it would interfere with their life plans. We've got 7% saying that they weren't mature enough. They've got 8% saying they don't want to be a single mom. Like, fair enough, but you shouldn't have gotten yourself knocked up in the first place. 19% done having kids. I don't fucking want anymore. This is another shocking thing to me. How can you have an abortion when you already have a small little thing running around? I don't get that. Women who got abortions, I believe this was in 2014, 40% of them had no prior births. Okay, so makes sense. You don't even know what a baby is. 45.7% had at least one or two prior births before the abortion. And 13.8% had 3 or more. I can understand if you start really getting up there, like maybe there's a significant temptation for that. But my God, if you're seriously done having babies, go get your fucking tubes tied. Don't kill your children. If you're like, oh shit, I got pregnant again, I really didn't want that to happen, you have other options. You can go get your tubes tied. 23% say that they can't afford it, which I know is a fucking lie since our government subsidizes motherhood. Like, do you understand that? Our government gives women WIC and housing subsidies and all sorts of things when they're single mothers. That's a fucking lie that you can't afford it. Like, you can afford it. 25% simply said they weren't ready. whatever the fuck that means. Like, okay, you weren't ready, like, what, you weren't responsible enough, you went up and hoarded yourself around and got pregnant by the wrong guy, and now you're like, oh shit, I have to kill my baby. Boyfriend's texting me. And 6% simply responded that it was other. And, you know, that is a fairly, I mean, that's 7.5%, so that would be, yeah, about 92% that didn't get an abortion because of being a victim. They didn't get an abortion because their baby had health issues and wasn't going to survive outside of the womb. They didn't get abortions because of health issues. They got abortions because they were irresponsible and chose to kill their babies. There's other disturbing, you know, statistics that I found too. For instance, you know, you have all these liberals and shit, these far leftists screaming about white people are so oppressive, white people are evil, we need less white people. And then these are the same people who also say, you should kill your babies. Or, oops, no, that's not what they say. They say, we should be allowed to kill our babies. And so they're anti-white, they're pro-abortion. Do they not realize that black people kill their babies 3.5 times more often than white people do? Do they know that? 10% of pregnancies, white pregnancies roughly, end in abortion, and 29% of black pregnancies. That was, I think this was probably 2014 as well. Most of these statistics came from there, which is very recent. That's a huge, significant difference. That, to me, that tells me at least that white women are making either better decisions or have more stable family environments to go home to, at least. And it's just really gross because there's this weird disconnect where they don't understand that the policies they're pushing for are making them the victims that they're trying to fight for. And so, you want to talk about white supremacy in the United States? Well, stop killing yourselves, and maybe we won't be the majority anymore. That's one of the biggest problems. It's not that black women are breeding like crazy. It's the fact that black women are breeding like crazy with the wrong men and killing their children. Or if they don't kill their children, and this is only slightly better because they're going to destroy that child anyway, but being a single, you know, mom in a ghetto with a kid, I mean, it's just really disgusting the way that our society is set up right now. These children need fathers. They need guidance. Those mothers need help. They don't need government assistance. Fuck that. What they need is a man who will buy them flowers, say, honey, here's some money for groceries, pay the bills for me, I'm gonna go off and work. That's what they need. Because it's hard being a single mom. It's hard taking care of children. That's why God made us pair-bonded creatures. Because he was like, yeah, you know what, creating one of these creatures is really, really, really hard to do by yourself. And to do it properly is, oh my God. You gotta have a partner to do it properly. And what I'm talking about, of course, is creating a competent, compassionate, and strong but meek person who is not gonna back down from a fight that he needs to fight, but will back down from stupid bullshit and will simply laugh in their face and walk off. Because you have to be able to tell the difference between those two. Here's another disturbing statistic. The abortion rate for women on Medicaid, aka government health care, is 3 times higher. This is really, really disturbing to me. This means that my tax money is going to the slaughter of innocents. Do you get that? Do you understand? Tax money going to the slaughter of other people's children because they were too irresponsible to put a condom on, to take birth control, to get an IUD, to get their tube tied. And considering the fact that I personally am Christian, I find this last statistic that I found kind of disturbing. 55% of women who've gotten abortions consider themselves Christian in some form, either Catholic or Protestant. And to me, that's just like, holy shit, we have made a 180 turn away from what Christ was talking about. Holy fuck. There's one more statistic I want to bring up about abortion, and, you know, this is really important to me, because one of the arguments that women made prior to the legalization, you know, with Roe v. Wade and stuff is, you know, oh, if you don't let women get abortions, they'll go to back alleys and have some drug dealer stick a coat hanger up their cooch to kill the baby. And so it's so dangerous. 431 women between the years 1973 and 2012 died because of legal abortion. Yeah, so safe. It's almost like it's dangerous to take something that's attached to your blood system and forcibly remove it from your body. It's almost like that's dangerous and not healthy for the woman. In 2013, 4 or 5 years ago, 4 women died because of legal abortions. So I don't buy this whole bullshit of legal abortions being safer. They're not. You know, you still have a chance of dying from complications because what you're doing is severing the life force of one individual from another. You two are connected, so interconnected. And the thing is, it's not your body. It's a body inside your body that is dependent on you to the extreme. Now, I want to wrap this up by trying to figure out at least one way for us to try to solve the problem of abortion. There are a lot of people with fertility issues out there. You know, you hear lots and lots of couples struggling with fertility, and they need IVF treatments, and there's different ways of doing it. You can get IVF treatments where you inject hormones into your body that will help the woman create an egg, and then when the man fertilizes it, there's other hormones that they can take to help it implant and stuff like that. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is actually collect the eggs, make the woman ovulate, collect the eggs, get the egg and sperm to combine together, like in a petri dish, essentially, and then put it back in the woman and try to make sure it gets implanted just right. Now, of course, you've got surrogacy and stuff like that, but you gotta be kind of rich to find a surrogate, right? And so, but yeah, we have all these people who can't get pregnant, who want babies, who want to raise a child. Why is abortion so popular when this is the case? Why is adoption not as prevalent as it could be? I mean, adoption's beautiful. And, you know, I have some first-hand experience with this. My dad, when he was in college, had a little mistake with a young lady he was dating, and the condom broke. Yeah, at least that's what he says. And, you know, he paid for it. In the long run, he had been training to be a pilot at the time, but because of the pregnancy and all that stuff and the stress of it, you know, he dropped out of that, and didn't drop out of the military, but he dropped out of the flight program and stuff like that, and he eventually did fly on airplanes as a navigator, but not as a pilot. And then when she gave birth, you know, when she got pregnant, I think the discussion was probably around the time she got pregnant. The discussion was essentially like, well, shit, do you want to get married? And she's like, fuck no. I'm not getting married to you. I think she was probably nicer about it, but that, in my head, that's how it happened. And he was like, oh, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? And she's like, well, I'm Catholic. I'm giving it up for adoption. And he's like, oh, okay. And he went with that. And you know what? Best case scenario for my brother. Because, you know, I have this jolly, happy brother across the country who I get to see on occasion. I've got a couple of nephews. You know, he's a really happy, healthy guy. My dad didn't raise him. But the boy deserved to fucking live, you know? Like, John deserved to have a chance at life. And guess what was created? A beautiful, happy, healthy man who has beautiful, healthy, happy little boys and a beautiful, healthy, happy wife. And, you know, they've had tragedy in their life, but they've had so much good. And he was raised by a really good set of Catholic parents who loved him and raised him. And, you know, they were good to him. And they treated him well. And they treated him with respect. And they treated him like he was their own child. You can't tell me that's fucking wrong. So, you know, I think the best thing to do in our society is to encourage women to stop having abortions and encourage older couples who are going through those IVF treatments to seek adoption instead. Because, honey, you've passed your prime. If you're at the point where you're seeking IVF treatments and you're, you know, past the age of like 35, don't have a baby. It's too hard on your body. It's not good for you. It's not good for the baby. Children born to mothers who have them late, they tend to have more genetic abnormalities. They have a higher risk for Down syndrome. It's not a good situation. You're way better off contributing to society in a more beneficial way and preventing the abortion and the murder of innocent little children before they're even born. And you can do this by reaching out with your heart and your soul and taking a little bundle of potential that isn't yours and making it yours, and making sure that creature, that little tiny creature, becomes domesticated, becomes a human being, becomes smart and strong and competent. And because you're, you know, maybe a little past your prime, you know about all the possible things that could go wrong in life. You know exactly how to guide these children, and maybe you have more patience than a younger mother would have, because you're older and you've had to deal with, you know, trials and tribulations in your life. And raising an adopted child that you don't really know the background of, that's scary. That can be really scary. You don't know what sort of genetic components you're going to actually get in there. And so to take on an adopted child, that's admirable. That is really, really admirable. It is right up there with being a good mother to your own children. It's pretty much equivalent, you know? If your goal is to be a mother, but you're past your prime, you can still be a mother, but my suggestion would be to try to end this cycle of abuse, death, and destruction. And to take on a little bundle of joy that needs you. Because all children should be wanted and loved and cherished. That's the goal, but we have to stop killing them first. Alright, well, hopefully I have made my points clear. And maybe I've changed your mind on the whole concept of abortion. This will not be my last video on it. I have other things to say on it, but I thought that the whole thing that we have this giant American genocide happening right now, it's just so shocking. It's so disturbing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how do these women do it? How do they disconnect themselves from something that they've created? Something that is growing inside of them, that is part of them. How do they do it? How do they kill part of themselves? How? It's just so profoundly anti-human.